Good morning, children of class 8, and welcome to the English class. We left the Sacros and the Wrights enjoying themselves at Murphy Park. The children went and tried their hand at all the rides, at all the things which were kept there, the items which were kept there. They tried their strength at hand grips. Eventually, they collected the youngsters who had been reduced to a satisfactory, breathless state of roiled up insides. Roiled up means very excited. Both the children are very excited. And the Sacros took theirs off instantly to the refreshment stand. Again, they are going to have some refreshments. Tommy wanted a hot dog and George tossed him a quarter. Quarter is a money. He gave him to buy it. He ran off too. Frankly, said George, I prefer to stay here. If I see them biting away at another cotton candy, I will turn green and sicken on the spot. They have an unnatural affinity, a liking for sugar. And they have been eating so much of cotton candy that it makes George sick. So he decides to stay there and not go to the refreshment stall. I will turn green means I will become sick of this sugar candy and sicken on the spot. If they haven't had a dozen apiece, I'll eat a dozen myself. They might have had a dozen cotton candies each. I know, and they are buying a handful for the child now. They are buying more. I offered Sacro a hamburger and he just looked grim and shook his head. He didn't want the hamburger. Not that a hamburger is much. But after enough cotton candy, it ought to be like a feast. After having so much of sugar, the hamburger will be tasty, will be good to taste, good to eat. I know I offered her an orange drink, and the way she jumped when she said no. You'd think I'd thrown it in her face. Mrs. Sacro also refused the orange drink. And she refused it in such a way that Lillian felt that she was throwing it on her face. Still, I suppose they had never been to a place like this before. They'll all fill up on cotton candy and then never eat it again for 10 years. Well, maybe they walked towards the Sacros. You know, Lil, it's clouding up. It's beginning to rain. Mrs. Sacro had the radio to his ear and was looking anxiously towards the west. Oh, said George, he's seen it. Now he'll want to go home. Suddenly there appeared clouds in the sky. In spite of all the weather reports saying that it will be fair, good weather, clear, the clouds appeared. All three Sacros were upon him, polite but insistent. They want to return home immediately. They were sorry they had had a wonderful time. The Wrights would have to be their guests as soon as it could be managed, but now really they had to go home. They are worried, they are anxious. They want to go home and they thanked the Wrights. It looked stormy. Mrs. Sacro wailed that all the forecasts had been for fair weather. She's disappointed, wailed, unhappy, almost crying. But the weather forecast foretold fair weather, good climate, sunny weather. George tried to console them. It's hard to predict a local thunderstorm. But even if it were to come, and it mightn't, it wouldn't last more than half an hour on the outside. The thunderstorms come suddenly, but it will last only for half an hour. At which comment, the Sacro youngster seemed on the verge of tears, and Mrs. Sacro's hand, holding a handkerchief, trembled visibly. Even the boy is frightened, their son. Let's go home, said George in resignation. George agreed, resigned himself, agreed, accepted they should go home. Seeing the nervous state of the Sacros when they saw the hint of rain. The drive back seemed to stretch interminably, very long, going back. When they are anxious to reach home quickly, so the distance seemed unending, interminable, endlessly. There was no conversation to speak of. They did not talk anything, they were all anxious. Mr. Sacro's radio was quite loud now, and he switched from station to station, catching a weather report every time. They were mentioning local thunder showers now. Local means at that place where they are. Thunder showers are going to happen. Thunder, rain and lightning. The Sacro youngster piped up, spoke suddenly, piped up. and that the barometer was falling. And Mrs. Sacro, chin in the palm of her hand, stared at the sky and asked if George could not drive faster. Please, she's urging George to go fast. She wanted to reach home before the rain fell. A wind had sprung up, driving the dust of the weak, dry road. The road had been dry for 1 week, and now the wind was blowing the dust before it when they entered the street on which they lived, and the leaves rustled ominously, hinting, foretelling that it is going to rain very soon. Lightning flickered, lightning flashed in the sky. George said, "We will be indoors in 2 minutes, friends. We will make it. In 2 minutes you will be home, so don't worry." He pulled up at the gate that opened on to the Sacro's spacious front yard. Spacious, very large, very big. Got out of the car to open the back door. He thought he felt a raindrop, a drop of rain. George felt rain falling on him. Just a drop. They were just in time. They thought that they were just in time. The Sacros tumbled out hurriedly, very quickly, came out of the car. Faces drawn, faces anxious, tense. Drawn means worried, tense. With tension, muttering thanks, and started off towards their long front walk at a dead run. They still had to go a long way to reach the house, so they started running. Hastily, very quickly, telling thank you to the right. Honestly, said Lillian, you would think they were. The heavens opened, the sky opened, and the rain came down in giant drops. Very heavy rain fell, as though some celestial dam had suddenly burst. Such heavy drops of rain, such heavy rain. It seemed as if some dam in the sky, celestial means heavenly, some dam in the heaven had burst open and sending down water, sending down rain. The top of their car was pounded with 100 drumsticks, as if drums were beating. The rain was falling, such loud, such big drops of rain. And halfway to the front door, the Sacros stopped. They had almost reached the front door. They looked despairingly upward. They looked up at the sky in disappointment, in fear, in anxiety. They looked up at the sky. Their faces blurred as the rain hit. Suddenly the rain fell and shrank and ran together. Now all three of them shriveled, collapsing within their clothes. They are made of sugar. Now remember, this is science fiction. This is not a true story. The Sacros were made of sugar. That is why they are frightened of water. They are frightened of the weather. If the weather changes, they are always looking at the radio reports, hearing the radio reports, because they knew that they would melt in the rain. All three shriveled. Shrivel means shrunk, became wrinkled. They disappeared suddenly, collapsing within their clothes. Only their clothes are remaining there, just like heaps, which sank down into 3 sticky, wet heaps. That is, the clothes are there. The rights have disappeared. They melted because they were made of sugar. And while the rights sat there transfixed with horror, they were horrified to see the Sacro family disappearing right in front of their eyes. Lillian found herself unable to stop, completing her remark, made of sugar, afraid that they would melt. Now they understood why they are so anxious about weather reports, about water, about the rain. Why Mrs. Sacro fetched water even without spilling a drop of water when Lillian had asked for a drink. You remember all that. So we have completed the lesson. The notes will be sent to you. Some things you have to answer by yourself. It is important that you do it yourself and then check the answers. Check if your answers are correct when the answers are given. I will give you all the answers, but it is very important that you should do it yourself. Read the lesson, study the lesson.